You said you had some questions.
Yeah, so one question that came to my mind is how are you experiencing dreams?
The same way I experience awake reality. It's just all phenomenal uprising. The interesting thing is that awake reality seems to be more predictable. That's really the only difference. Dreams are just kind of erratic. I don't know where they come from and I don't know where they're going to, but kind of the same thing with reality, although like awake reality is a little bit more predictable, but they're seen from the exact same space. This space of awareness is here and changeless during awake life, like daily life, just as much as it is during deep dreamless sleep or during sleep with dreams. It's all the same. It's all viewed from the exact same vantage point, which is all encompassing.
So it's a lucid dream.
I guess you could say it's a lucid dream, although I've kind of given up identification with any sort of doership, both during, daily lived life as well as during dreams. So they both just kind of flow effortlessly and appear as they appear, and it's all good.
And they appear from they don't have a start then. They just appear. Or like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, same with, I mean, daily lived reality is the exact same way.
yeah.
It arises out of complete nothingness, just like dreams do. Like, can you identify where a thought comes from? Like, where does it what essence does it actually come from? It comes out of absolutely nothing, and so does everything else.
Yeah, everything that happens, all the situations that happens.
And you are that nothing. The interesting thing then is that nothing is alive and aware. That's God, and that's your fundamental essence in all things, in all states of being.
Okay, another question is, so you then that means that you're always in the right place at the right time.
Well, the right place and right time is a judgment made by person mind. So like, yes, I will say that I'm always in the right place and the right time, but not necessarily from a person mind perspective. Like
Okay.
in the perspective of the absolute, yes, of course, and it could never be otherwise. You could never be in the wrong place because everything is the outpouring and effortless flow of all that is, and all that is perfectly orchestrated because it's just what is. Like it couldn't be anything other. The only thing that could be other is a projection of mind that is writing a story, a script on top of all that is that says it's wrong. And there's no part of me that says it's wrong because it's not. That's the illusion. The illusion is thinking that anything that's arising and happening should be different than what's arising and happening.
That's the contraction.
That's the contraction.
Yeah.
And the habit of doing that is what creates who you think you are and the contraction of person self-identity. Because you've done that for so long. You've written scripts upon what is for so long that you identify as the script writer of this life. And then you get drugged through, you bang upon all the rocks and, try to navigate the fucking rolling rapids of the flow of life. And it's a tough place to be, and that's where most people are and live from. But that's
Right.
not who or what they are. And if they released that identification with that person's self-identity or the script writer of life, they would realize that life just flows automatically and
They would,
effortlessly.
they would
And
more be like la 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 la
right, right, right.
la.
Totally.
Also, I know you talked about the chakra video.
Hmm.
Is it already posted? Is it one of the ones that are like a couple of weeks old?
Yeah, so there's a guided one, and then there's like a solfeggio frequency one, and both of those are good. People just have different they come at these things from different perspectives and require different permission slips to meet the absolute. And so it's just two more doorways that I provided.
Mm. And and those were the ones that you talked about with Sanchi?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
So,
if done fully, they do really clear you out. Like if you're fully present during each of those, there will be a grand release.
mm, right. I will keep on practicing.
Yeah, but while you keep on practicing, identify from what place you're aware of the one who's practicing and sit there.
Mm,
If you think you're the seer, look at the one who sees the seer. The mind says that this practice can go on infinitely, but it can't. It's just one more step. So you're not the witness state, although the witness state can put you in the place where divine grace has access to you. You're actually the one who is aware of the witness state. It's just one more broader step removed. And so as you do the chakra cleanse video or as you do any practices, just be aware of the one who's practicing.
mm, that's where my attention should be.
Yes.
Right?
And then no matter what the practitioner does, just allow it to be as it is. These body energies will clear out automatically. You're not the one they're being cleared out from. You're the awareness of the one that's being cleared out. And in that, everything clears out automatically.
Mm,
You're removing yourself kind of from the situation in a sense and allowing divine grace to act upon this perception.
I guess, I mean, probably the most common question that's ever been asked when it comes to self-inquiry. But it's like, because when you're pointed there, right, it always, or not always, but it's easier in the beginning to get pointed to that place, to that, to your awareness. But to get there by yourself is always a little bit trickier. It's more because you are the one that has to do it yourself, in a sense. And if it's already contracted, then it becomes more difficult in a sense.
Yeah, I mean that's why traditionally gurus or teachers have been offered. It is more helpful to have someone point you towards this space. Although everything has to be done in your direct perspective. Nothing can be done for you. So ultimately, you need to follow the guidance in your direct experience.
It's like the same with hypnosis, right? It's like it's
Mm.
you doing the hypnosis.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a
Um,
guider of hypnosis, but if not done in the direct experience, no change happens.
this is helpful. This is really, helpful, I think.
Yeah, I hope it is, and I hope it
Yeah.
it, it does have real life effects. It's a difference in staking your identity in quicksand. If you stake your identity in phenomenal reality is always changing, and so you're constantly being thrown about and swayed by the movements of phenomenal reality. But if you stake yourself in your true self, your true position, this timeless awareness of being, or the light of awareness itself, then that is changeless and moveless. And then everything is allowed to change and move within it. But you're no longer pulled and swayed and shrugged through the boulders, so to speak.
Mm. Because I feel like in this state, because a mantra that I've been using a lot is trust the universe.
Hmm.
And I feel now that that means you are the universe.
Hmm. How could you be anything different?
Right.
The universe truly is alive and aware through you right now. So if you think a rock is not sentient, what are you produced from? You know, at least in this physical time-space reality, you are a carbon-based life form. And where did all that carbon come from? It came from the universe. It's all one thing. It's all one thing that's alive and aware. Oh, hold on. Yes, love. Oh, hold on one sec.
Yeah.
Must be an important piece of mail.
Oh wow.
I'll look at it later.
Yeah. But it's I like what you said in that video that scientists start to realize there is no matter,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Because you go to photons even and this is just light,
Yeah.
right?
Ultimately, it's not you realizing that the universe is aware. It's ultimately realizing that awareness has a universe.
Uh,
It's just that simple change in perspective. You know, you don't have consciousness. Consciousness has you.
it's almost like the questions I had before. It's like they're just dissolving. There's no questions anymore.
Yeah, you can really dissolve into this simplicity. It really is this simple. There's only one thing to do. It's to return here and everything else clarifies. It's the human mind that wants to produce have all these sort of steps and procedures and things that you have to do on your way to this, but it's always here. It's timelessly here, and it's the most effortless thing.
This, yeah, this this is to say where you experience concepts, I would say,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. Like I thought I understood before that there's no time or room doesn't exist. But it was not until I experienced it it came clear. And it wasn't from my mind. It wasn't my mind. It was not like a rational thing. It was just a knowing.
Yeah, this is much broader than the knowing mind can conceive of.
Yeah. But scientists wants proof.
Right. And so they'll never get the full picture unless they release, their identity with the looker itself. You can only ever see an image as good as the instrument you look through. And so until they realize that the instrument they're ultimately looking through is consciousness, they won't find the broader image.
I just feel like things are dissolving, just staying like this.
Yeah, this is the ultimate solvent, just staying here.
I also feel like in this kind of state that I mean you said as well, like things happens, right? Like you can things you can't explain, right? Um, like for me it's like something with light starts happening. It's like when I look beyond a point, like everything just becomes like a whole continuous changing imagery. It's yeah, it's interesting these experiences that you can have, and I've had, and especially in the past, a lot of like Kundalini energy movement as well.
Yeah, I have a funny story about Kundalini. I won't tell it because it takes too long, but it ended up, I have an entire Kundalini tattoo on my back. It takes up my entire back.
That's
I made it with one king cobra and one cottonmouth, two of my favorite snakes, wrapped around the chakra system. And yeah, I had some pretty potent Kundalini experience as well, but ultimately this is far beyond any movement of energy.
when was that? So in your was that something that came from meditation or like the self-inquiry? And was it before like the last, I don't know, awakening that you had, or like when did you experience it?
Yeah, yeah, it was a long time before. I mean, this dates all the way back, maybe like 15 years or so. The body energy started moving and clarifying and getting weird. It really started with a frustration, though. This was before my time that I would really consider true meditation began. This was a frustration of not knowing who I was and demanding to know the truth of who am I. And I just wanted the truth. I didn't want, like, I was done trying to like make myself be like a cool person or like an interesting person or like I didn't want any phenomenal identity. I just wanted to know the fucking truth of who and what I am. And it was really like a pure demand to the universe. Like like I don't want any more candy. I don't want any more toys. I just want to know the truth. What is the essence of who the fuck I am right here and right now? And from there, the Kundalini energy started moving. The first thing that happened was I would fall asleep and immediately it felt like a sparkler was being jammed into my third eye, and like all I could see was just a sparking, like sparking like crazy. I couldn't see anything else, whether my eyes were open or shut. I couldn't see anything else, and it kind of moved from there all throughout my body for maybe 5 or 10 years after that. Um, and but I see that was kind of all just like phenomenal reality, just like everything else. Like I really don't put a whole lot of importance in that. It was interesting at the time. It certainly got my attention, because it wasn't very comfortable.
No, no, that's, I mean, a lot of those Kundalini awakenings can be really uncomfortable,
Yeah.
really difficult,
But
depending.
I brought it upon myself. I demanded the universe show me
Oh
the
yeah,
truth, and I was in such a
got it.
contracted state of identity and identification with this person self, especially that it required that this person self kind of explode open in sort of an energetic felt sensation. And it evolved over time, of course. Um, and the final dissolution,
It's
which
purifying.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was clarifying. It was terrifying and clarifying.
yeah, yeah. Wow, yeah, because that's what I had like my first ayahuasca experience. That was just like that. I think that's what scared me the most.
Mm.
That intense energy that
Hmm.
I've never experienced before.
Does that still happen?
I mean, I do Kundalini yoga, so yes. If I do listen to light language, um, there's Akasha, I think her name is, and I was so surprised that a week I was just tapping in and listening to her, like just channeling, and I just had I was not able to sit still at all. I was just
Hmm.
convulsing, back and forth like the snake movements. And I was so surprised just from like a channeling on YouTube.
Hmm.
So it's really, yeah, it's there. It's full on. But I also try to kind of retain it a bit. Like I don't want it to go full crazy.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. yeah, it's a beautiful and it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. Continue to do it. Continue to do whatever you feel
Yeah,
called to do. But
yeah.
as you do it, make sure you're seated in the correct position. And that way those things can take full effect without you standing in the way of it.
I don't know if you have it where you stay or where you live, or because I know you have it in the States with something called Kundalini activation process, and it's basically facilitated that channeling this Kundalini energy from the crown chakra through the body in a very gentle way, but it might not look so gentle.
Right.
People through big releases and sort of things, right? Screamings and
Hmm.
uh, but it also puts you in this non-dual space. So I think the facilitator know how to put themselves into a non-dual space to be able to channel that, because they're
Hmm.
just that, they're just channeling whatever energy wants to flow through, and then it's the same for everyone that lays there. Um, and I think that that's a very interesting practice as well, because you do things that you would never do, from a contracted, ego kind of beingness.
Hmm.
I think it's beautiful to see that this can also be used as you had your Kundalini energy from a contracted place. It could be that ignition to start expansion from within. So if people listening and they want to try something, I would recommend Kundalini activation process.
Yeah, I do as well. But it's really important that people know what they feel personally called to. Sometimes people attach themselves to what might be considered other people's paths. And really, you just need to be really tuned in to what you feel personally called to. And if people feel personally called to that, then I totally recommend it and endorse that. And same thing with ayahuasca and any of the other entheogens, mushrooms, 5-MeO, San Pedro, whatever it is. But my recommendation is that make sure you feel personally called to it. Don't just take somebody else's recommendation.
Right?
We all
Yeah,
have different access points to this, and it's
right.
important that you follow your own. Otherwise, you're likely to just to become either more deluded or more attached to something that isn't necessarily meant for you.
It's a good point. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Hmm.
Mm.
Do you have any more questions or anything else you'd like to talk about?
Let's see.
I want to make sure you get exactly what you'd like to get out of this
Yeah.
conversation.
Mm. I mean, it's more like to confirm things that I've written down, I guess. So I've written down like, so basically to whatever that comes or happens, is this like saying yes to everything that comes, like include everything that comes. Could that
Yeah,
be all a practice?
that is the devotional practice, to have full acceptance of whatever is. Yeah, that's devotion to this understanding that all is one, that everything is the movement of the same ultimate essence. But while you say yes, make sure you know or ask yourself, who is the one saying yes? What is the essence of the one who is aware of the one saying yes? And that's your true seed.
Mm. It's something that I recognize when I'm with my family now. The triggers is as I am. This is an interesting one because as I am able to accept a lot of things, trying to accept everything that happens, good or bad. I try to not. I try to keep my what do you call like equilibrium
Mhm.
about things and just as a habit, as a practice. Right? And then, but when I'm with my family, for example, and I see that they can't do it, or like they react, that also, then it creates something within me that is more difficult to accept, which is very interesting. So like I can accept things, but when people can't accept things themselves, then it becomes a thing for me that is more difficult for me to accept.
And you need to hop off that cycle. You need to and to hop off that cycle is to remain in amidst that situation of the back and forth wheel of reaction between you and your family members. Hop off the wheel and just ask yourself, who is the one aware of this situation? Because the awareness that is in you reacting a certain way and the awareness that is in them acting a certain way is the same essence, and there's no division amongst it. If you were both able to lift up and understand that you're both just the awareness of the situation, the underlying energies would completely dissipate and come into harmony. They would become completely resolved and accepted. But as long as you're the only one doing that, you're still having an effect on that situation.
Yeah, yeah,
Because the wheel of reaction then you're no longer on that wheel. You're no longer going around in the cycle and circle of reaction. You're you've removed yourself from it. And as long as they keep staying on that wheel, it can only go for so long. That momentum will wear itself out. So lift yourself up and remind yourself, what is the essence that is aware of this situation right now? And do that amidst that seeming cycle of reaction. And as you do that, you're bringing a peaceful and harmonic essence to that situation. And that's the best we can ever do. And then demand nothing of that situation. Let it be as it is.
yeah. Because I feel the mind then goes to, why am I reacting like this? And that
It,
just spins on. It just then it's like an ongoing, you're
you're
not
on, yeah,
getting,
exactly. You're on the wheel. The
yeah,
why
yeah,
question, the how question, it's just questions on the wheel. And
yeah,
those questions will never really be resolved.
right. I mean, that was excellent because I think it's it kind of, when you said it and how you explained it for the first time, I think it kind of it landed more than it's done so far. So thanks for that. Mm.
Yeah, if you could make this a practice in every situation, this will
Yeah,
happen very quickly for you.
yeah,
Not just the tumultuous situations either. I'm also talking about the happy and good and pleasurable situations.
right. Yeah, that's a habit. I see. Yeah, I see. Mm. And that's, yeah, exactly. It's not only the difficult, it's everything all the time.
This is
And that's
an
also,
this is an equanimity of being. Doesn't matter if things are good or bad or pleasurable or traumatic. It doesn't matter if things are suffering or painful or gleeful or blissful. Remind yourself of your timeless nature in all those circumstances, and then everything will flow as it's intended to flow in divine harmony. And you're not necessarily the bringer of that peace, but more so the allower of that peace. You're more so the conduit through which that peace can enter the situation. And we need more people like that.
yeah, there's no contraction.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's why I'm here as well. I feel it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think I have another question at this point. It was really nice, catching up with you finally. I think you're doing an amazing job.
Likewise, you're doing the same thing I'm doing
Yeah,
in another person perspective. So thank you. You're doing the work just as I am.
yeah. I feel like there's so much to talk about, but at the same time, nothing to talk about.
That's reality.
Well,
But I'll always be here. If anything else comes up, I'll always be here and we can always jump on these calls whenever you want.
yeah, awesome.
And until then, thank you so much for joining me here. All my love to you, Johan, and just continue to remind yourself of this timeless and changeless state that's present everywhere that you are.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, all my love to you. See you next time.
Um, See you next time.